I do complain. I don't know if I complain. I guess I kind of do complain about all the reading, but I do enjoy this reading. I do really like
The Normandy is a prototype starship developed by the Human Systems Alliance with the assistance of the Citadel Council. It is optimized for scouting and reconnaissance missions in unstable regions using state-of-the-art stealth technology. For most ships, the heat generated through standard operations is easily detectable against the absolute zero background of space. The Normandy, however, is able to temporarily sink this heat within the hull. Combined with refrigeration of the exterior hull, the ship can travel undetected for hours or drift passively for days of covert observation. This is not without risk. The stored heat must eventually be radiated, or it will build to levels capable of cooking the crew alive.
That's bad,
Component of
and I
the
hope it never
stealth
comes
system is the Normandy's revolutionary Tantalus drive, a Mass Effect core twice the standard size. The Tantalus drive generates mass concentrations that the Normandy falls into, allowing it to move without the use of heat-emitting thrusters.
Mass concentrations that the Normandy falls into, allowing it to move. So I do not know how that would work. It says falls into, so is it like perpetually falling into the correct way instead of like being pushed? I guess. Science jargon that I'm trying to make sense of when I barely understand science in the first place. Alright. Is there anybody else on the ship? I know there is, but where? Personnel Manuel. Now let's go talk to somebody before I read that. So is this my room then? That's there just to make sure, you know, just in case I forget where I am. Can I activate any of those yet? Nope. Okay. Yo, Dr. Chuck was, I forgot your pronunciation. Also, it's been a long time since we talked. What's up?
Yes, Commander? Is there something you need?
Personal questions.
How did you end up serving on an Alliance ship?
I enlisted right out of med school.
Did we already talk about this with you?
Earth always
whatever.
seemed
We'll do it
boring
again.
to me. Too safe. Too secure. I figured the colonies were teeming with
I think we have
exotic
talked about
adventure.
this. Oh well.
I wanted to travel the stars, tending the wounds of tough soldiers with piercing eyes and sensitive souls. Turns out military life isn't quite as romantic as I'd imagined. But humanity needs the Alliance if we want to keep expanding through the Traverse, and the Alliance always needs good doctors. So I stayed on to do my part.
Well, when I eventually need medical help, I'll make sure to stare into your eyes as piercingly as I can while also crying, I guess. Caden?
How well do you know the lieutenant?
I'd never worked with him before this mission, but he has an impressive service record, over a dozen special commendations. Tends to keep to himself, though. Maybe because of the headaches. It's not easy being an L2.
I think we have already talked about this, but also remind me.
What does that have to do with it?
Well, most biotics now use the L3 implants. Lieutenant Alenko was wired with the old L2 configuration.
Right.
Sometimes there are complications.
Tell me about these complications.
What kind of complications?
Severe mental disabilities, insanity, crippling physical pain. There's a long list of horrific side effects. Caden's lucky. He just gets migraines.
Oh, yeah, right, good. Well, see
I
ya.
should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
Also, I'm looking for a lot of aliens. Do you happen to know where they would be? In particular on this ship? Just, not in here. There we go. Well, I guess we go down the elevator. Where are they all hiding? So I know that this will take us to the, Ah, there's everybody. Literally everybody. Yo! First off, let's talk to the most important person, the Alliance Requisition
Looking for
Officer.
supplies?
Do you sell more stuff?
Let's see what you got.
You bet, Commander.
I mean, it looks like you guys sell more stuff now. The Edge. Hey, one I can actually buy. I mean, I'm not gonna yet. Alright, just making sure. Ashley, her name is. Right, I remember now. Garrus.
Thanks for bringing me on board, Commander.
I knew working with the Spectre would be better than life at CSEC.
You knew.
Have you worked with the Spectre before?
Well, no, but I know what they're like. Spectres make their own rules. You're free to handle things your way. At CSEC, you're buried by rules. The damn bureaucrats are always on your back.
True. It's not that bad. True.
Being a Spectre does have its advantages.
Exactly my point. If I'm trying to take down a suspect, it shouldn't matter how I do it, as long as I do it.
Well,
But CSEC wants it done their way. Protocol and procedure come first. That's why I left.
I mean, you know, there is a place for rules and procedure. It's just that I don't like them. Other people like them, so, you know, to them, their reasons. That was your reason?
So you just quit because you didn't like the way they do things?
There's more to it than that. It didn't start out bad, but as I rose in ranks, I got saddled with more and more red tape. CSEC's handling of Saren was typical. I just couldn't take it anymore. I hate leaving.
These two just sound like... let's just say it's a tough decision.
I hope you made the right choice. I'd hate for you to regret it later.
Well, that's sort of why I teamed up with you. It's a chance for me to get off the Citadel, see how things are done outside CSEC. Either way, I plan to make the most of this.
Alright.
And without CSEC headquarters looking over my shoulder, well, maybe I can get the job done my way for a change.
It really does depend.
If getting the job done means endangering innocent people, then
Well, I'm
no.
not saying that.
We get the job done right, not fast. Got it?
I wasn't trying to. I understand, Commander.
Alright, good. I'm not opposed to getting things done wrongly and slow either. Alright. He likes getting things done his way. So on and so forth. Yo, Rextifer.
Nice ship you've got, Shepard.
Thanks.
What can I do for you?
Personal inquiry.
What's your story, Rex?
There's no story. Go ask the Quarian if you want stories.
I really hoped that that's where it would end. Just, I don't have stories. And we just walk away. Come on, just a sure, don't be an ass. Would he respect me also being a little bit of an ass? Come on, just you know, don't be an ass.
You Krogans live for centuries. Don't tell me you haven't
Yeah, that's
had
a much
few
better way.
interesting adventures.
Well, there was this one time the Turians almost wiped out our entire race. That was fun.
Yeah. I genuinely have no idea what "yeah" is supposed to convey here. Like, yeah, that was pretty fun, or is it yeah that was like? Oh, come on, game, you have to give me a little bit more than yeah. Period. I'm still gonna say it though.
Yeah, they tried the same with us, but we fought them off.
It's not the same.
Yeah, that's not what I thought. It isn't? Let's get him, you know, this way we're getting him talking about it. It isn't?
It seems pretty much the same to me.
So your people were infected with a genetic mutation? An infection that makes only a few in 1,000 children survive birth? And I suppose it's destroying your entire species?
So what? I this is not where I thought this. You know, we humans have basically suffered as much as you guys. Is not where I thought this was going. I'm genuinely sorry, Rex.
I suppose it isn't all the same.
I don't expect you to understand, but don't compare humanity's fate with the Krogan.
A bit touchy subject there. My God, I won't.
Sorry, Rex. I wasn't trying to get you upset.
Your ignorance doesn't upset me, Shepard. As for the Krogan, I gave up on them long ago. The genophage infected us, but it's not what's killing us.
God, it feels like I'm walking on fucking, like, what's the I'm walking on, what's the term? Walking on thin ice, I guess. Like with this guy. I feel like anything I say is gonna rip my head off. Extinction.
Are your people really dying?
We're sure not getting any stronger. We're too spread out. None of us are interested in staying in our own system.
See, this just feels like such an asshole. So? It's like not... Ugh. Probably, it's gonna be a lot more eloquent when Shepard says it, but like, I wish I had more, like, detail on what she was saying. This is like exactly like the Fallout 4 problem.
Lots of species have left their homes and prospered.
But they go to colonize new worlds. We're not settlers. We're warriors. We want to fight. So we leave. Hire ourselves out. And most of us never go back.
What can you tell me about the Genophage?
Ask the Solarians if you want details. They made it. All I know, it makes breeding nearly impossible. Thousands die in stillbirth, and most never get that far. Every Krogan is infected. Every one. And no one's rushing to find a cure.
What?
Why don't the Krogan try to find a cure?
Or anybody else?
When was the last time you saw a Krogan scientist?
You're the first Krogan I've seen.
You ask a Krogan. Would he rather find a cure for the Genophage or fight for credits? He'll choose fighting every time. It's just who we are, Shepard. I can't change that. Nobody can.
I'm sure there are other species who are willing to help. I see.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
Okay, well, that conversation could have gone better. Ashley!
Commander?
Oh, please tell me you didn't hear that awkward-ass conversation between me and Rex. I promise I'm not like that. Can we talk? How are we doing?
What's your opinion of the last mission?
Kinda wish you'd got there sooner, Commander.
Right, you're still
No
talking
offense,
about that
I
mission.
appreciate the rescue. I just wish...
That we'd saved your youth.
You wish we'd been able to save the rest of your unit.
Yes, ma'am. If I had been more alert, we wouldn't have been cut down by an ambush.
Do we already have this I don't remember if we've had this conversation with her before. But what would my Shepard say in this? Be more alert. Also, as someone who survived being the sole survivor of an attack. I do think be more alert is probably what...
The answer seems plain enough to me. Be more alert.
Aye, aye, Commander. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
Alright, you know what? I feel like that went pretty well. Also, can we talk?
Do you have a few minutes to talk? One-on-one?
I'm sorry, Commander. I need to get my duties squared away.
Nobody wants to be my
talking
friend.
More later, though.
Goodbye.
Dismissed, Chief.
Ma'am.
Alright, then here we can... Everybody's locker. And this one, conveniently on the side that I can't interact with. I wonder... There's no way you could fit that much gear in these. I don't even think any of Rex's anything can fit in here. Whatever. We'll go look at that after I talk with everybody. Oh, actually, now that we've talked with people, let's read. The Genophage. The Genophage bioweapon was created to end the Krogan rebellions. From the start, the Krogan had overwhelmed the Council. Only timely first contact with the Turians saved the Council races. The Turians fought the Krogan to a standstill, but the sheer weight of Krogan numbers indicated the war could not be won through conventional means. The Turians collaborated with the Solarians to genetically engineer a counter to the rapid breeding of the Krogan. The Genophage virus gained the energy to replicate by eating key genetic sequences. Every cell in every Krogan had to be altered for this weapon to be foolproof. Otherwise, the Krogan could have used gene therapy to fix the affected tissue. Once a genophage strain could find no more genes to eat, it would starve and die, limiting spin-off mutations and contamination. This created genetic flaw is hereditary. The Solarians believed the genophage would be used as a deterrent, a position the Turians viewed as naive. Once the project was complete, the Turians mass-produced and deployed it. The Krogan homeworld, their colonies, and all occupied worlds were infected. The resulting mutation made only 1 in 1,000 Krogan pregnancies carry to term. It did not reduce fertility, but offspring viability. The rare females able to carry children to term became prizes the Krogan warlords fought brutal battles over. The Krogan are a shadow of their former glory. While the rebellions took place centuries ago, they are constantly reminded of the horror of the genophage and their inability to counter it. The release of the genophage is still controversial, bitterly debated in many circles. Yeah, it fucking is. What the hell? There's... That's fucked up. Let's put it as eloquently as I want to. Oh, God, military ranks. Okay. Hold on, let me get a drink of my water. You know what I love reading more than science fiction jargon? Military jargon. Science fiction military jargon, even. The Alliance uses a modified version of the ranking system that has been used for hundreds of years. Soldiers are classified into rank and file enlisted personnel, experienced non-commissioned officers, NCOs, and specifically trained officers. The divide between naval personnel and ground forces, Marines, is small. Ground units are a specialized branch of the fleet, just as fighter squadrons are. This unity of... I thought this would be a different word, but no, I forgot that unity was just a word. I thought it was being like the word unit. You know, he's unity. That guy over there, he's unity. He is like a unit. You know what I mean. This unity of command is imposed by the futility of fighting without control of orbit. This unity of command is imposed by the futility of fighting without control of orbit. Without the Navy, any army is pointless. The Marines, as a matter of pride, maintain some of their traditional rank titles. For example, Marines have privates and corporals instead of servicemen. In ascending order of responsibility, the ranks of the Alliance are Enlisted. Servicemen 3rd class, Private 2nd class, Servicemen 2nd class, Private 1st class, Servicemen's 1st class, Corporal. NCOs, Security Chief, Gunnery Chief, Operations Chief. Officers, 2nd Lieutenant, 1st Lieutenant, Staff Lieutenant, Lieutenant Commander, Staff Commander, Captain/Majoral, Majoral? Rear Admiral, General, Admiral, Fleet Admiral. Admiral. Words. Well, where's the rest of you? Over here. Yo, Tally. And Engineer Adams.
Hey, Commander, you know that Quarian, Tally? She's been spending all her time down here asking me about our engines.
Is she bothering you?
I'll tell her to leave you alone.
That's not what I said.
No, she's amazing. I wish my guys were half as smart as she is. Give her a month on board and she'll know more about our engines than I do. She's got a real knack for technology, that one. I can see why you wanted her to come along.
I didn't. God damn, no, she's useful. She's gonna be my shield tank for some reason.
I figured she'd be a real asset to the team.
You got an eye for talent, Commander, but I'm guessing that's not why you came down here.
It was just to talk to her, really, just to find her, I guess. Stealth system, personal questions, Normandy. Talk to me about the stealth.
Fill me in on the IES stealth system.
IES.
How does it work exactly?
You can't hide a ship out in space. They emit too much heat and radiation. Too easy for sensors to pick them up, unless you find a way to capture those emissions. So our stealth systems trap the energy we give off in storage sinks built into the ship itself. No emissions to give away our location. Eventually the sinks have to be vented. More than a few hours silent running and they overheat. Cook us inside our own hull.
So we're invisible, is what you're saying to me.
There's no way for anyone to detect us?
A visual scan can still pick us up. Anyone looking out a window can see us plain as day. But you have to be pretty close to get an actual visual out in space. Most vessels rely on scanners. As long as the stealth systems are engaged, they can't see us. Not unless we accelerate to FTL speeds.
And that gives us away. Thank you for explaining this much easier than me reading out the lore does.
Why doesn't it work with faster-than-light travel?
Cranking up the FTL blue shifts our emissions, pushes them into frequencies too high to capture in the sinks. As soon as we make the jump, it's like setting off a flare. Sensors can pick up our location whenever we enter or exit FTL flight, but for short-range missions, our stealth systems are amazing, and we've got the only one.
Yeah, let's keep it that way, huh? Take a look at the Normandy.
I want to know more about the Normandy.
She's the best ship I've ever served on, probably the fastest vessel ever designed. And she's the only one using the new Tantalus drive core.
Explain this to me. This is actually what I wanted to know.
What's so special about the Tantalus drive core?
Proportionally, it's about twice the size of any other vessel. Not only are we faster, but we can run at FTL speeds longer before we have to discharge the core.
That isn't... Okay, so it's just better than the others. But I wanted to know more about the, like, how it, like, falling into. What does that mean? Ugh, personal questions.
Where else have you served, Adams?
If you name a class of Alliance ship, I've probably served on it. Everything from dreadnoughts and carriers right down to frigates like the Normandy. My last assignment was on the Tokyo, only a cruiser, but she was a good ship. Couldn't hold a candle to the Normandy, though.
Yeah, because we're out in space. You can't hold fire out in space. Engineer? Stupid. This guy.
Carry on, Adams.
Aye, aye, Commander.
Alright, we have some lore to read. Ships and vehicles.
Faster than larger warships are generally
you can read this one for me.
classified
Thank
in
you.
one of 4 weights. Frigates are small, fast ships used for scouting and screening of larger vessels. Frigates often operate in wolf-pack flotillas. Cruisers are middleweight combatants, faster than dreadnoughts and more heavily armed than frigates. Cruisers are the standard patrol unit and often lead frigate flotillas. Dreadnoughts are kilometer-long capital ships mounting heavy, long-range firepower. They are only deployed for the most vital missions.
Okay.
Carriers are dreadnought-sized vessels that also carry large numbers of fighters. Smaller vessels are almost exclusively used in a support role to the warships during combat. Fighters are one-man craft used to perform close-range attacks on enemy ships. Interceptors are one-man craft optimized for destroying opposing fighters.
Alright. Makes sense to me. There won't be a test on this later, though, right? Because, like, I don't know how much of it's sticking. Hey, Otali.
Your ship's amazing, Shepard. I've never seen a drive core like this before. I can't believe you were able to fit it into a ship this small.
Well, the way that we did that was by making the ship kind of
understand
bigger.
why you humans have been so successful. I had no idea Alliance vessels were so advanced.
Well, you know, we're kind of awesome. Yeah, normally they're not.
The Normandy's a prototype, cutting-edge technology.
A month ago, I was patching a makeshift fuel line into a converted tug ship in the flotilla. Now, I'm sitting on board one of the most advanced vessels in Citadel space. I have to thank you again for bringing me along. Traveling on a vessel like this is a dream come true for me.
You into ships?
I had no idea you found ship technology so interesting.
It comes with being a Quarian. The migrant fleet is the key to the survival of my people. Ships are our most valuable resource. But we don't have anything like this. We make do with cast-offs and second-hand equipment. We just try to keep them running for as long as we can. Some of the fleet's larger vessels date all the way back to our original flight from the Geth.
My god, that's 300,000 years ago.
I can't believe your fleet's still using ships that are 3 centuries old.
They're constantly being repaired, modified, and refitted. They aren't pretty, but they work. Mostly. We've tried to make ourselves as independent as possible on the flotilla, grow our own food, mine, and process our own fuel. But some things we just can't make on our own. A patch to maintain the hull integrity requires raw materials we just don't have. That's why our pilgrimages are so important.
Tell me about the Quarians.
Tell me about your people.
Our lives aren't easy. Resources are scarce, and we are constantly on the move. Everything we do must in some way contribute to the continuation of the migrant fleet. There are 17 million Quarians in the flotilla, and each of us relies on the others for survival. The bonds among my people are strong. Unfortunately, we have had to surrender many of the freedoms and civil liberties other species take for granted.
Such as?
What kind of freedoms?
Well, it's illegal for parents to have more than one child. If our population grows too much, it would strain our resources to their breaking point. Of course, we also can't allow our numbers to become too few. If our population is in decline, the rule against single births is temporarily repealed.
Okay.
In extreme cases of population decline, incentives are even offered to encourage multiple births, though the Conclave hasn't had to take such measures in nearly a century.
Fascinating. The Conclave? Is that anything like the Enclave from Fallout? From Fallout? I don't know.
That's your government.
The Conclave is our civilian branch of government. Each ship can elect a representative to serve on the Conclave and make decisions that affect the fleet as a whole. On matters that affect an individual ship, however, the captain has the final say. It's a tradition that dates back to the early days, when the fleet was governed by martial law.
Martial law?
Fortunately, most captains nowadays are smart enough to have an elected council from their crew to give them advice and guidance.
Thanks for the lore dump. I wish every other species on this ship was half as forthcoming as you are.
So the ultimate power rests with elected officials?
Looks into camera.
In practice, the Conclave and the respective council for each ship tend to set the rules that govern our daily lives.
I already had breakfast.
But in theory, we are still under military jurisdiction. The 5 top-ranking military officials in the fleet serve on the Admiralty Board. These 5 have the power to overrule any decision by the Conclave in case of emergency. To do so requires unanimous agreement among the Admiralty, and they can only do this once. After that, the entire board must resign their posts. It's a safeguard that served us well. In nearly 3 centuries, the Admiralty Board has only overruled the Conclave 4 times.
That's a good thing, I assume. Tell me about them things we're shooting at.
I want to know more about the Geth.
I doubt I can tell you anything you don't already know.
You'd be surprised what I don't know.
It's been almost 3 centuries since they drove my people into exile. All I know is the story of their origins. What they were when we created them, and how they turned on us.
I still got like an hour to record. Tell me.
Interesting.
The Geth were originally created to serve as an automated manual labor force. Initially, their intelligence was as limited as any VI.
I know that word. I read about that one in the last episode.
Over time, we made small modifications to their programming to allow them to perform more varied and complex tasks, bringing them closer and closer to true AI status.
Isn't that illegal though? My God.
How come the council didn't step in and stop you?
This wasn't true AI research. We may have been skirting the bounds of the law, but we never did anything that was actually illegal.
Ah, the best form of legal.
The changes were so insignificant, so gradual, that we were able to control them. Or so we thought. But one thing we underestimated was the power of the neural network. 1 million Geth thinking simultaneously created an inherently unstable matrix.
The neural network?
So the Geth share brain power?
Many of the Geth's logic systems were designed to work in concert with other nearby Geth. Basically, the more of them you have in a group, the smarter they are.
Like a bunch of bees. That's how they work, right? You know what bees are, right?
So there's some sort
of
consciousness.
What's the status of bees in this universe?
No, nothing like that. They cannot share sensory data or information. Their programming cannot handle that much simultaneous input. Each Geth maintains an individual awareness and identity. The neural network only operates on a process-based level. It's basically the synthetic equivalent of a subconscious.
The human subconscious. We're getting Persona up in here. Tell me about Shadows and Persona.
Functional processes, freeing up more capacity for original or independent thought.
When they're in close proximity, they can coordinate low. I wasn't paying attention to last night because I was thinking about Persona again. When they're in close proximity, they can coordinate low-level function processes, freeing up more space for. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. When they're close together, they don't have to think too hard about the things that don't matter. Basically. But also I don't get it.
That doesn't make any sense.
I'm probably oversimplifying. The Geth are incredibly advanced and complex creations. All you need to know is that they get smarter when they gather in large numbers.
Alright, works for me.
As we built more and more Geth, their effective intelligence became more sophisticated, more abstract. One day, a Geth began to ask its Quarian overseer questions about the nature of its existence. Am I alive?
That's
Why
immediately
am I
when you
here?
shoot it.
What is my purpose? As you can imagine, this caused a near panic among my people.
I mean, I could see why that would cause panic. What happened next? Actually. Why in particular does that cause panic, actually?
I don't see what's so bad about those questions.
Well, not how I would have put it.
The Geth were created to engage in mundane, repetitive, or dangerous manual labor. That's fine for machines, but it won't satisfy a sentient being for long. The Geth were showing signs of rudimentary self-awareness and independent thought. If the Geth were intelligent, then we were essentially using them as slaves. It was inevitable the newly sentient Geth would rebel against their situation. We knew they would rise up against us, so we acted first. A general order went out across all Quarian-controlled systems to permanently deactivate all Geth. The Geth responded to this order violently.
They defended themselves. What'd you expect? It was your fault. I'm not gonna say it was your fault. That's... It isn't... Tali herself wasn't the one to issue that. It's the royal you, I guess. And also, yeah, this is the nicest way to put it.
Hey, you can't blame them for fighting for their survival.
We had no other choice. The Geth were already on the verge of revolution. By acting quickly, we had a chance to end the war before it began. The hope was that most of the Geth would still be little more than machines, incapable of organized resistance. But they had progressed much further than anyone anticipated. The war was long and bloody. Millions upon millions of Quarians died at their hands. In the end, we were forced to flee our own homeworld. We feared the Geth would pursue us, but they never came beyond the Veil. Now we drift through space, exile, searching for a way to reclaim what was once ours.
They defended themselves. Serves you right is a bit harsh. Also, but they, did defend themselves.
It's hard to feel sorry for you.
Okay, that's not...
Ancestors tried to wipe out another species.
That's what I was put it.
We made a mistake when we created the Geth in the first place. But we did not make a mistake when we went to war against them. If we had not acted, they would have wiped us out. They're a synthetic life form. They have no use for organics. None. Why do you think they cut themselves off from the rest of the galaxy? Why do you think they've killed every organic being who's ever tried to contact them?
Right, there is one person. Sellen, right? That was his name? Yeah. But Sellen is also trying to wipe out... Sorry, I am sorry. But Will saying this...
They didn't kill Saren.
Right, Saren.
What does that tell you? The Geth are not innocent victims in all this. They're the enemy. They want to destroy us. Not just the Quarians. All organic life. That's why they've joined up with Saren. And that's why we have to stop him.
Alright. Sorry for getting you worked up. Tell me about your pilgrimage. This can't go poorly.
I want to know more about the pilgrimage.
When my people reach maturity, we leave our birth ships and seek acceptance with a new crew. It's necessary to maintain genetic diversity among the fleet. But no ship wants to accept someone who will be a burden on them. So, to prove our worth, we embark on a pilgrimage. We set out alone, leaving the flotilla and our families behind us. We only return once we have found something of value we can bring back to the fleet. This is presented as a gift to the captain of the respective ship we wish to join. If the gift
not, I
is
could give you one of mine.
accepted, we are welcomed into the crew.
Do they? I mean, no. The answer is going to be no. But sounds dangerous. How? How does it? like, sounds dangerous in the way that leaving your family normally does. Do they always accept?
Can a captain choose to reject the gift?
That doesn't happen often. Most captains are eager to increase the size of their crew.
Oh.
It increases their own standing in our society.
That's good to know.
Even when a gift is not particularly valuable, the captain usually accepts it out of a sense of tradition. However, there is a stigma to presenting a substandard gift. It's not the best way to make a good impression on a new community. Most pilgrims don't return until they find something worthwhile.
Oh, I could ask both. Well, then it sounds dangerous in that case.
I can't believe they just send you off alone.
It's not like they just cast us out. Before we leave, we are given lessons in how to survive outside the flotilla, and given gifts to help us on our journey. We also receive implants to fight off sickness and disease. Generations of living in an isolated and highly controlled environment have left our immune systems weaker than most. By the time we leave the fleet, we are well equipped for the pilgrimage. This is a rite of passage for all Quarians. If it were dangerous, our numbers would suffer. Virtually every pilgrimage ends with a triumphant return and the ritual presentation of the gift to one of the fleet's captains.
That's... Alright, cool.
I want to talk about something else.
Like what?
See ya. See ya.
I should go.
See you later.
Alright, give me like an hour to read. Actually. Oh my god. Wait. Alright. The migrant fleet has little economic base, operating in a state of perpetual hand-to-mouth. While Quarian ships include light manufacturing and assembly plants, they lack heavy industries such as refining and shipbuilding. The fleet has tankers for water purification and oxygen cracking. But the space-intensive nature of agriculture limits food production. A single disaster could destroy the fragile balance. The Quarians earn income in creative ways, because the government is obliged to provide food, water, air, and medical support for every individual. The Conclave strategically determines the course of the fleet to bring in resources and income. A species who suspects the migrant fleet is heading towards their space often offers a gift of surplus starships, fuel, and resources to convince the Conclave to alter course. As the fleet passes through a system, swarms of mining vessels work over asteroids for metals and siliceous materials. Is that the word siliceous? Whatever. Siliceous. Actually, I think it is. Salacious is a different thing. Materials and cometary bodies for water, ice, and organics. Quarian miners are adept at locating and strip mining spaceborne resources. This sparks conflict with the corporations already working the system. Large mining concerns spend millions on lobbyists and public relations portraying the Quarians as locusts, devouring the resources of a system before moving on. The greatest asset of the Quarians is their rarefied skills. Most are experienced miners. Due to their life of perpetual salvage and repair, they are skilled engineers and technicians. More than once, the very corporations that lobby against the Quarians have made backroom deals with the fleet, arranging for skilled Quarians to fill space engineering jobs that other species would demand higher wages for. Quarians are widely hated among the working classes. The Quarians are coming to The Quarians are coming to take our jobs, is a common response to fleet's approach. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Due to the Quarians' this is the government. Due to the government's the Quarians' precarious existence and the need to enforce strict rationing, government is somewhat autocratic. The migrant fleet's operations are directed by the Admiralty, a board of 5 military officers who are advised by a legislative body called the Conclave. Each vessel in the fleet has the right to send representatives to the Conclave aboard the flagship. The number of representatives is based on crew size. Larger clans with bigger ships and more votes form the cores of political blocs. Opposition comes from the Outriders Coalition, with delegates from thousands of smaller ships. The Admiralty defers to the Conclave's decisions in most circumstances. However, if all 5 members agree that a Conclave decision jeopardizes the survival of the fleet and cannot get the Conclave to address their concerns, they have the right to summarily overturn the legislative decision. After the Admiralty uses this extraordinary power, they must resign. If the Admiralty does not step down after using their veto, the rest of the military is obliged to arrest them. Each ship captain has authority. That's actually really neat. I started reading, but I thought about it, and that's that is pretty neat. Although I could see ways where this could be abused. Like the Conclave for some reason really hates the Admiralty, so they just come up with a really stupid idea to make into a law, and then they just basically get the Admiralty kicked out, I guess. But that would also... yeah, well, whatever. Each ship captain has authority over his vessel, but is advised by an elected civilian council, just as the Admiralty is advised by the Conclave. The relationship may range from cooperation to polite tolerance to outright hostility. But any captain who overrules his council without good reason is relieved of command by the Admiralty. Many Quarian ships are owned by clans who pool their resources to purchase used vessels from private sellers. Large ships are prestigious for big, rich clans. But a small ship... I just banged my knee on my desk. But a small ship means status for a small clan with enough personal wealth to afford a private vessel. Clan vessel captains are not subjective to dismissal by the Admiralty. Abusive captains are a family problem if they do not disrupt the operations of the fleet. I need to blow my nose real quick. I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. Anyway, Migrant Fleet. The Migrant Fleet is the largest concentration of star-faring vessels in the galaxy. Sprawling across millions of kilometers, it can take days for an entire fleet to pass through a mass relay. When the Quarians fled their homeworld, the fleet was a motley aggregation of freighters, shuttles, industrial vessels, and the odd warship. After 3 centuries, all have been modified to support larger crews as comfortably as possible. As the Quarians achieved stability, they began weeding out the ships least suitable for long-term habitation, selling them and pooling the money to buy larger and more space-worthy hulls. This process is ongoing as vessels wear out and break down. While some ships enjoy dedicated cabins with full privacy and sanitary facilities, many more are former freighters whose cargo bays and containers are pressurized and divided into family spaces using simple metal cubicle bulkheads. The Quarians enliven these austere spaces with colorful quilts and tapestries, which also help to muffle sound. The day-to-day operations of the fleet, traffic control, station keeping, supply distribution, and so on, are under military jurisdiction, though ship captains have authority to deviate from their assigned positions and may leave the fleet at any time. They are assumed to do so at their own risk. As the Migrant Fleet moves around the galaxy, many ships split off to pursue individual goals, returning days or years later.